Just another mortgage update with Coco and Brian Kennedy, BKC Mortgage. Hey, I just wanted to talk about mortgage rates and the importance of them going down. The President of the United States does not set mortgage rates, but policies impact them for sure, along with supply and demand. Although the general population may not grasp that fact, those in our industry do know better, and we should be educating people. While the President-elect Trump has sought to pressure the Fed to cut rates lately, loan officers should know that consumer rates on mortgages and other loans are determined by a range of factors, largely outside of the President's control. As we all know too well, some campaign promises are notoriously hard to deliver on, and predicting the business cycle and including mortgage rates is impossible. Put another way, as a candidate, Donald Trump promised to relieve consumers of high interest rates. As president, doing so will likely be a slow process for sure. That may not be what most people want to hear right now. It's been a crazy few years. I agree with all of you. Anyway, Trump repeatedly said during his campaign that he would bring down interest rates without elaborating too much on the details as to how he's going to do that. Trump and his administration have suggested that the president should have more of a say in determining rates set by the Federal Reserve, and he has been very public about that fact. Trump does believe, like many of us, that mortgage rates should have been lowered much sooner. I have said so many times that the rates were held way too low for too long during and after the pandemic. Now we are paying a big price for those decisions. So, we should all understand that while Trump has put a lot of emphasis on the Federal Reserve as a way to reduce interest paid by consumers or businesses, the rates on mortgages and other long-term loans are outside of any one person's or institution's control. Instead, those rates are largely determined by the bond market. This is where investors are looking at a range of long-term risk factors, like, for example, the likelihood of higher inflation, the likelihood of war. We're seeing that happen right now, the potential for economic growth, and most importantly, the United States' ability to pay back its debts in the decades to come. So important. Macro trends are more important and can't be ignored. It's fine to try to keep the economy stable with relatively low rates, but the Federal Reserve has less control than people think. There are so many influential outcomes on how global markets will be impacted going forward, including U.S. mortgage rates. And I do believe that rates will come down over time. I really do. Granted, the Federal Reserve does play a big part in influencing which direction we go with mortgage rates. But look at what just recently happened when the Fed cut the index rate 50 basis points. People got so excited, but mortgage rates rose after the Federal Reserve cut rates in September for the first time since the pandemic. And despite cutting rates again in November, on November 7th, mortgage rates have and will continue and have continued to rise based on the trends in the bond market today. Outside of any actions Trump may take with the Federal Reserve, interest rates are expected to gradually ease and decline over time, but only if inflation remains under control, or, most importantly, the job market begins to weaken. But there is always the chance that a new administration and its policies could drive rates higher if we see a return in inflation, higher inflation. But some would say that the tariffs that they're looking to pass are an indication that may drive up inflation and consumer goods. That could possibly be a problem that we may face in the near future. But this is the most important thing to watch when it comes to mortgage rates today. To end this video, if the U.S. Congress or President-elect Trump takes steps to reduce its deficit, our deficit, and rein in the spending, government spending, that in itself would make the bond market and mortgage rates much more favorable to lenders and borrowers going forward into the next few years. If that does not happen, we can expect higher mortgage rates, I guarantee it. I believe that we will see lower mortgage rates in 2025, mid-sixes, maybe lower. The focus of this administration has been directed at cutting debt and government spending at rocket speed. Just using an analogy by Elon Musk. So this will be an interesting upcoming year for sure, for most of us, for the housing industry as a whole. Stay in touch with me and us for more updates. BKC Mortgage, always here to educate, always here to serve. Have a great weekend.